Good afternoon to everyone that is joining us. I am Sharice Reed L. From Reed's Learning Street. Good day, good evening, whenever you do catch this. We are coming to you impromptu today with an elder who would like to speak to our youth. Joining me is my co host, who will gladly introduce herself for our Mentors Matters today.
Hello, everyone. I am My Joy, the artist. I'm so excited today to hear from the elder. hmm
And if at all possible, I'm actually going to bring on our elder today now so that he can speak with us. Good day, our elder.
Good day to, and to both of you.
Thank you for joining us and coming to speak to our community on Reed's Learning Street. It is so appreciated. If at all possible, are you able to give a little bit of a background as to who you are or how much information you can give about yourself?
I'll give my name, and I would like to, display my image, but I chose not to. Maybe it might be to an advantage that everybody listens, and you just can't listen to. Let me just kind of direct this toward the subject. You just can't listen to voices of people you see and always trust that voice. We're talking about the political arena today. Am I right about that, Mrs. Reed?
That is correct.
And
Yes.
this might be of a good example. Listen to the voice and extract the discern the truth of that from that voice. And by actually uh, those who we elect, watch what they do. My dad has always said, son, I'll give my name, Roger. He says, people cannot lie to you. He says, let them say what they will. But he says, what they do is what they mean. I mean, think about that. And he has been a good example in that. I've watched in the political arena many politicians. By the way, I've been voting since I was 18 years of age. The only time I did not vote was when I was drafted for the Vietnam War. I'm a Vietnam era vet. And I just really want to impress upon the young people that they should participate in the political process. It's very important. It's one of the few rights that we have, especially as a race of people who have. Many of us are the descendants of the slave law here in the United States of America, and it was only because of politicians that had a inkling of honesty within themselves to say slavery is wrong. Let's let them be free and let them participate in the American process of government, political process, that is. I just wanted to make that introduction, Miss Reed.
I appreciate that very much so. So you, again, like you said, you've been in the political arena many years, and we want to speak to the youth as to their direction and how they move.
Yes, uh, I'm going to wait on you. I was going to wait. I was thinking you were going to ask the questions.
I wanted to kind of give everyone a little bit of background as to how you and I came into each other's energy and space. Just by happens, not even by happenstance, all in divine order, that those that are, I would like to say, are in their 50s, were discussing some politics and how they were not satisfied or happy with how politics is moving in the city of Detroit. And overhearing the conversation, that is how myself and the elder uh, came in contact and decided that it was needed that our youth hear the different opinions and not just be tossed out here. to make a decision or choice without having the knowledge and the wisdom necessary to make good choices. The first thing that I wanted to kind of tap on before we go into the different questions is to get your opinion on the Congressional Black Caucus. I had some older individuals mentioning and speaking about that this week, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion on that.
You're directing that question toward me, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
The Congressional Black Caucus,
Yes.
I think it's very important that we have a representation in all arenas of the political uh, process. And the emphasis, as you mentioned, is Black Caucus. Why has it got to be a Black caucus? And I think it kind of puts the emphasis on the importance of who we are. Without a political representation of our race in honesty, uh, we are uh, we are left out of the political process. We're looking for the caucus to give us inclusion. That's where our inclusion is at. Comes from the Black caucus.
So now we were studying about the Asiatic caucus, all of the different other caucuses that do not have a color put to them. So why is it that we have a color put to us, and even our caucus works for multiple people as opposed to just only us?
Now, here's a question that really has to give some kind of an instant thought. But it bears a lot of thought as to why this color designation has been placed on our race of people, and it's been because of the history of, especially here in the United States of America, the political system that we had been excluded. Early on, we had representation that was, in my opinion, that was more gravitated toward the righteous cause, the plight, the wrongdoing that black the black race of people here in the United States had been. It was inflicted upon them, the slavery, the uh, the treatment of black people. We have to have this representation, which I believe strongly evolved from the history of the racism in the treatment of black people. The people who have come about to represent our causes in the society. If we look at the history, they have been people who really took upon the righteous cause of it, and they became legal representatives in our courts, our court system. Uh, and the legal battle has always been the arena where our rights were won in the courts. It's very important that we look at that in history. Matter of fact, I wished I had paid more attention to it rather than have to live life and look back on and reflect on those who have died for the cause of black people, the black race of people, to vote, have the right to vote here. And that's why it's very important that we do not uh, just lackadaisically not vote or come about to understand what the political process is. The politics has always been said, to start locally. Uh, right here in our city Detroit, we look at our elected officials, for example. They could not even be there in those positions, except someone way back in time in history of this nation fought for them to have a right to even sit into our council people, our mayoral positions. It's very important that we look at the history of how people died, black people died, and white people died for our cause to have a right of freedom here in the society. Your vote is a reflection of your freedom. And if we do not vote and understand why we must vote, we could very well wind up losing the freedoms that we experience here in the United States of America. The uh, the vote is very important, and while it is a free right for us to do that, and our children be taught that as to the importance of it, is very vital.
I agree. Okay. So now, when it comes to the voting process, there are some that are deterred from it based off of those that are around us in the city of Detroit, in the political realm, and what they're doing. What do we say to those individuals who have given up on the political uh, hierarchy that's there now?
What do we do? I would encourage them. I mean, there are many of us, we are still in the fight. We're still trying to, we're holding up that banner, the righteous banner, the righteous cause. Uh, those, those who feel defeated by the political process, and I must say, is a reflection as to the our elected, many of our elected officials who we vote for. As I started off in trying to make a statement about, be careful of who you vote for or who you listen to, and and what my dad reflected on myself and our family. You know, you can let the politicians say what they want to say, but what proves what their intentions are is by what they do. Now, we should not give up voting, but we should enact the process of recall of these politicians because many have felt that they are defeated. It's even hard to get them employed or involved in a recall of these politicians who they feel have negated whatever they voted for them to be in office for. Uh, it's a reflection of this time. We have, I believe, in a lot of our elected officials who look like us. We have people who are helping to defeat our righteous causes that we have this privilege of voting. We look at them and we tend to think and see that they tend to gravitate toward interest that does not represent the people who voted for them interest. It's a very difficult time that we live in right now. We cannot give up our right to vote to other people who really would like to see our folks and our children not even patronize the voting process.
I agree. Okay. So when you say that, the people that are in those positions now have been there for quite some time and have been re-voted in or re-elected. Let me rephrase that,
Okay.
which I think leads into why some of those in my age range are not wanting to have any more faith in there. So how do I get them to come on back in and say, okay, well, this here candidate has given us a clear path of what they're going to do for us as a people. Where is that candidate at to
This,
gain, to get that support again?
I understand what you're saying, Mrs. Reed, but this is what we must do. We must come together collectively. I'm aware there are many groups in this city who share what you just, the question you just asked. We have to come together collectively. and get together with them, even though we see, and let us get on downtown Detroit or whatever city we are in and cause the people. Now, I'm going to say this, it makes no difference what race they are. They should be doing the right thing by law, that is written, that should govern us all in a righteous cause. Uh, I cannot just put this on really my race of people, but we have to understand that this city here is a majority uh, for a long time dominant by the black people. And if we do not go and vote for people who will represent us or and remove those who we vote for that look like us, that honor someone else's causes, that is excessive taxes, uh, taxes that on our properties that we didn't know about, and we have. I can mention one name, Mrs. Hitchcock, who had been before the city making the argument about the overassessment on our properties, uh, and only to have people who are politicians, in my opinion, who have legal uh, backgrounds. A few of them are attorneys who choose to defeat us, even though we elected them to represent us to not cause these things to happen, because they are in office and we have empowered them. It seems like they become a part of the apparatus that further oppresses us by saying that, using legal terms, that we're out of the statutes of limitations to do anything about overassessments. And when it's very clear in my understanding that what happened with overassessments is that we have been stolen from on our properties, because this is an example. I'm trying to just say this, and I'm going to not put too much more emphasis on it. If the people did not know that they were overassessed by a legitimate trust in a government that is supposed to not do this to us, then you can't say that they were aware and there's a statute of limitations. I'm going to leave that right there because we are yet to get an answer to this.
I agree. I definitely agree. I've had my own uh, concerns or issues, I should say, with the working with trying to look into properties and property taxes and et cetera. So I agree with you in that. Um,
I hope that might answer your question there. I don't know if I'm getting off the subject or not.
well, there is a major, at least in my opinion, there's a major issue with acquiring property or holding on to property and it not being the paper trail for certain individuals may be longer than it is for other individuals. There was something that was just mentioned earlier this week about the Shrine of the Black Madonna being purchased um, by constituents of those that are in the political realm.
I think I
How do,
somehow heard that.
I thought that was a very major um, thing to come about because me as a homeschooler, I would go to the library and et cetera before everything shut down. I would take my students there. And I was looking forward to going back there to give them that experience. Well, now that opportunity has been shifted and changed.
Yes, I just want to be assured that your student is benefiting, and from this conversation. And if she has one of the questions that she can put out there, we could get her included in the asking.
I see you taking notes, my joy. Do you have any questions you would like to ask, or would you like to jump in? You're on mute.
Yes, I saw that. No, I'm really just kind of absorbing all this information. Actually, I did have a question about the Black Caucus. What exactly is a caucus?
I'm going to leave that one on Mrs. Reed. I think I participated somewhat on that one.
So, the Congressional Black Caucus is the group of individuals that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Elder, but they represent us when issues come about with government. The caucus part of it, they were created a while ago. You know, I'm into etymology, so if I break down caucus, it wouldn't exactly be the same as a group. But needless to say, that is what the Congressional Black Caucus does. They are representatives of us as a group of people
Congress, that's correct. Okay,
in Congress.
that's right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, does that help you, the student there?
It
The
does.
okay, the representatives that we elect in Congress are Congressional Black Caucus, and we have Congress people here that we elect out of our precincts. Uh, Here in the city of Detroit, we did have the congressman just elected in. I believe it was Schrei, and he had just been elected in. Now, once again, he replaced the seat. He took the seat of John Conyers, and I had been privileged to have met John Conyers early on in his political uh, life. As a matter of fact, I was just being drafted for the Vietnam War then when I had met John Conyers. I don't really reflect on that, but it is very important that we contact these Congress people, uh, e- even though they do not look like us, and persuade them to represent your interests, if even though we are Black people. Anybody in the city who is of any other race should feel privileged to contact any newly elected, even though they're not Black, and have them uh, explain their alls or just concerns about government. We were privileged to have had John Conyers, and it took Black people to vote him in, and he had well represented us. So I greatly miss him, and but what I know to do right now is to get a hold of whoever has that seat that replaced, that we elected for him to occupy, and I believe that was B. Shrey. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I just met him on an occasion briefly, and while he was running for office. But anyone who is in Congress, you need to feel privileged to call them, especially those who look like us, and tell them what your concerns are.
So, we have a question from the audience. Would you say that the Congressional Black Caucus is predominantly one political party over the other? Additionally, is the Black Caucus actually beneficial to the Black community?
Is that being directed at me,
Yes,
ma'am?
sir.
Well, see, now here we're getting a little. Now, here is one that is kind of difficult for me to try to say yes or no because of what is happening in the political arena with those who are in the political arena that look like our race. Would you say that the Congressional Black Caucus is predominantly one party over the other? I would not necessarily say that. I think that it would be on the righteousness of it. We could look at it as being a party. I don't know if it would be considered to be one over the other. I would think that uh, the, the goal of the Black uh, Caucus is the righteousness of, first of all, predominantly the Black race of people. And the righteousness of any people is a Black race of people is spread throughout, covers all races of people. So you see, this is a hard question for me to even fathom, because I don't know the Black Caucus to be of any deviation or deviant uh, political persuasion. What I do know about the Black Caucus in history has been to advantage not only the Black race of people, because we have been disadvantaged, but also any other race of people, because it was not predicated on a lie or deviant political persuasion. I don't know if I've answered that or if I can ever answer that. But what I can say is that whoever we vote for, that is if we're predominantly a Black city, we need to find out what they're all about, because many of us have voted for people just basically because they look like us, and we have been deceived because of that. I would say in this day of politics, we're going to have to really find out more about who we vote for. We have to just not vote for people because of name recognition, because we have found out that they are they have become career politicians. It's a job. As long as you can, be voted in by name recognition. I've had experiences even downtown city Detroit. People walk by you and snub their nose up at you. I mean, I remember experiencing that. Uh, don't snub your nose up at me. I'm the one that look like you, and I'm the cause, if I voted for you, that you're in office. Don't get downtown and start saying, well, I don't have to answer to you. I don't have to call you. You can call my office, and all you're going to get from me is the phone is going to ring, and that's it. So I can't answer that thoroughly. I don't know if I can ever conclude it. Right now, we're in difficult times, and we need to vet anybody, regardless of what race they are, in politics before we vote for them. I could vote for anybody.
Right, right. So, what do you think should be considered most importantly when looking into politics and elections?
I believe I think I touched on it. We, what the question you just asked, can you repeat that again? What should we be?
What should be considered most importantly when looking at voting for political figures?
I would say we need to vet people based on their political involvement, if they've had any. I'm talking about in the community, the your community, for example, my community. Uh, let's find somebody who's been honestly doing something, laboring for the betterment of your community, regardless of what race it is. But in that, here in the city of Detroit, we have been dumped on. Our taxes have been given to billionaires uh, without any answer or uh, to the people as to why, when their abatements have been given in the millions and billions of dollars over and over and over again. And we have females and children out on the street. We have veterans out of Detroit sitting out in front of stores. It's almost like I know them. I meet them. I'm a vet. I'm a matter of fact. I get involved because of I can identify vets and talk with them. We have something in common, and it really behooves me very, very much that in a land of plenty. And then the process of, I call it a bankruptcy that was unnecessary for the city of Detroit to be caused, the cause of the different corporations of the city of Detroit, such as the water department, to be taken from the city of Detroit. One Mayor Coleman Young, warned the people here in the city because they were black. He says, never. I'm talking about the people downtown, your council people, your mayors who come. He says, never let them take that water department from you. And so it happened. Sometimes people do not understand why uh, someone like a Coleman Young Senior would say that. It's because he's got a living history, not only in the military, but in life in America. And whenever black people achieves anything, it's always negative uh, in the sense of other people. And this is the history of America. We can do better than that, but we have to get our young people involved in the legal, uh, honest political process. You can run for mayor. Anybody can run for mayor, just like you can for the president of the United States. And I think we've seen a good example of anybody who could run and win office for the presidency, and they're still doing it right now. We can do better. I don't know if I've answered your question or not. Put me back on it, and I'll see if I can do a little more with it.
Yes, you definitely answered my question.
I just hope and pray that you young people get involved immediately. I am not aware, but I've been hearing things. We had social studies in our K1 through 12 school system here in the city of Detroit. The city of Detroit had one of the best school systems in the United States, only to be dissolved by what was called a bankruptcy. You look around the city and look at all the buildings that house our children in our neighborhood school design. Uh, was that purposely done to destroy our neighborhoods, our families, our wanting to be in a city that was once beautiful? Uh, Let me say this to you. Politics did that. And when people don't want to live next to you, they uproot. I'm not trying to be a racist about this thing, but let's look at the facts. When people don't want you to send your children to school with theirs, they know what to do. They uproot. I can get into the political process of what I experienced, but I don't know if this is helping the student there, Ms. Reed.
I appreciate this. So we have another question. Well, first, before we move forward, uh, my joy, did that give you any more clarity?
Yes, yes, it did. Yes.
Excellent. So before we move forward, I do want to say that this episode is sponsored by Get This Wisdom Magazine Live, who is also sending in questions from their viewers. And the next question that they have is, how important is it for us to be educated in political science? And what are some basic fundamentals we should be learning in order to teach the youth? Ah, okay. Um, Personally, political science is major for me. If the children don't start learning about uh, how quote unquote laws are made and statutes come into existence, how are they to participate in the political arena? So that part of education is major and should start at a young age, in my
So,
opinion.
certainly.
Elder, you can, go ahead and camelback off that.
I will, well, I don't mind riding the camel off of that. Let me say this: political science is a study. Matter of fact, it is a course that is offered in your community colleges. I believe in maybe some of the major sciences or colleges.
Mhm.
And I found out that a majority of people study political science. Now, I believe I didn't study it myself, but political science, I think it implies exactly what the words are. It's a science of politics as to uh, how the populations would be affected or be designed or influenced by political groups. I believe this is a part of it. I'm going to say this also. I know been made aware of years ago that many of your police officers, one of the courses of education they had was political science. I don't know how difficult that study is, but the science might make it seem uh, it's a study. A science is a study of what? Politics. So we can break that down. Matter of fact, to be better to more elaborate on that, other than what I'm saying, I think that we need to look at what the study of politics is all about. And if you're looking at what is going on, not only in the city of Detroit, other cities here in the state of Michigan, the deprivation of certain racial groups from even getting the returns of their tax dollars that are paid through sales tax, property taxes, uh, county taxes. Uh, you wonder why are these certain locations within these counties are the ones that are deprived of any of their monies to be returned by the state or their local governments. Uh, Political science, I believe, is involved in that type of a study. Might be guilty. We might be, I might be guilty of stating, making a misstatement on this. Correct me if I'm uh, wrong. I don't mind being corrected. I stand to be corrected on that. But I think from my observation, uh, I think political science has played its part in the deprivation and of certain cities, and also it plays a part on what happens to you in your job as to who politically represents you in a political group, such as unions and organizations. Uh, Having personal experience of that, I've seen and witnessed what I believe political science, the study of uh, holding or controlling certain racial groups or people or populations. I believe that that is involved or with that definition of political science. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in the public. I don't know everything, but I'm just saying from my own experiences, if I could be of some assistance to any student in what I've experienced, I don't mind. Uh, I don't have any hate about myself, but the truth is what I bear witness of, and that's all I can say.
Thank you so much, so much. So the next question is also from another reader. Would you say that there are current social biases in the current public education system that impacts the youth of African descent that the political world overall influences in an adverse manner? Hmm. Oh,
Back with me again. Huh?
yes, I'm going to have to let you take that one.
All right. Would I say that there are current social biases in the current public education system that impacts the youth of African descent that the political world overall influences in an adverse manner? Certainly, it's very obvious. If We've had, I think, the superintendent of the Detroit public school system here. It's not it's not what am I trying to say? The word I'm trying to find. It doesn't. Uh, it's just it's really something when you have someone who, getting back to the political process, who is elected that don't look like you over your school system, and we've had many look like us that didn't really uh, deliver to their people. I have to say that there is a current social bias in the educational system. Don't forget, we are looking at a regentrification of the city of Detroit or any major black city in the United States of America. And when you were talking about regentrification, we're talking about what race? We're talking about taking the people who've been there, who occupy it majorly, and replacing them with people who are coming back, who really left the city in their family history. Uh, in order to bring them back, you're going to have someone who looked like them for in those positions, mayor, uh, superintendent of schools, to be the magnet to say, "Come on back." Uh, and yes, there is a bias, an intentional design in the educational system. If we take, for example, of what's happening with the governor down in Florida, the truth, they do not want the truth of the American history taught to their children because they say that it's going to damage their children's in their thinking or shame them or whatever. Well, my goodness, uh, we live in shame every day, and our children are deprived every day because of the absence of being taught in the public school system who they are. If we do not do that, the parents at home do not teach their history, the history of the real history of slavery, the the tree, the hanging, the noose, which you see still being reflected in their children today, even in the grown-up stage, out in your industry, hanging nooses, uh, signs of hate. Uh, you look at who it is that's uh, gone to Washington and and obstruct the Congress, the Capitol. I don't know if I can go into this because it can be wordy. It might take me days to really vent a lot of what is going on, but it is the truth. I do believe that it is by design that the black race of people and other people of different races are excluded out of the educational process.
So that would bring me to a question now. Me being a homeschooler, how does that factor into the political realm? Do I, how do I convince, not convince, but how do I support the the youth that say they don't want to participate? How do I give them what they need? Or how do we as a community give them what they need?
This is Mrs. Reed. I have to ask the children uh, why is it they do not want to participate. I can only ask them to find out why. What has gotten into their mind, their experiences, their exposures, in life to cause them to say they don't want to participate. To never participate. I have to, I question that. I want to know why they have it in their minds that they. It seems like it's a sense of hopelessness if they do, and I think I witnessed, a example of someone saying that we just give up. What's the use? I'm not giving up. And that's the whole key to this thing. You have to fight for that which is right in the sense of writing. You can write, students can write, you can write letters to the people who are in office in these political positions. You can write them letters to extract from them why are they doing certain things if you disagree with it. I would persuade you, any student, any child of mine, to not give up in life like that, because everything in life, especially here in America, uh, that politicians do, it affects you if you know it or not. It affects you. And this not wanting to participate, especially in the local politics, questioning the people who we are going to elect, we're just digging a bigger ditch for us, because you can go down and just go ahead and vote for anybody you want to. And that's what it looks like now. It don't make no difference. It looks like, I think that might be what they're saying. The students are saying it looked like that you voted for all these folks downtown, and they're doing whatever the dictators want them to do. They're caught up in taking money, and nobody's disciplining them. There's no law department that has investigated these corrupt politicians. So I believe the students probably are mature enough to say in their minds, well, my goodness, yeah, they probably broke the law, or they did, based on what is reported. But even the law agencies, local, state, federal, county, are not doing anything about it if they broke the law. It's almost as if this state of mind is depicted and directed at our children to cause them to feel like that. I don't want to participate. And if we don't understand that, if we do not engage and participate in the political process, we could be asking for a dictatorship to come upon this nation. Politics start locally, and I would tell you, or I would persuade all children, anybody in 18 and above, to go down and register to vote. Please don't just have a defeated mind or defeatist mind set on you.
Well, how does that work? How do you register to vote, and how does that whole process come about?
Mrs. Reed, would you want to handle that one?
Well, when you acquire your identification through the Secretary of State, that's the first thing. And then at that time, they're going to ask you, do you want to register to vote? They'll give you this form, and they'll register you without you having to go through any process. If you don't do it that way, they'll send you a notice in the mail to your address, uh, or they'll automatically register you. Sometimes that has happened. Um,
Is that done at the Secretary of State now?
well, the last time I went, that's where, well, see, correct. I may be wrong and have to check into
There is
that.
an option.
Okay,
Um,
Mrs. Reed, I will check to find out how the registration is taken care of now and handled, because there's been so much corruption in the political process in these recent years, that I think it's kind of been an issue that a lot of folks, they probably don't know right now, but I believe it's Secretary of State. I will check also, Ms. Reed, and I'll confirm it with you also, so you can give that back to your students.
Thank you, because I do believe it is an option, although not everyone knows it's an option.
Hmm. I think you can do that. And with the register to vote, the your clerk, your city Detroit clerk, may have to check her office, because they do send you out the precinct or area where you go vote at, and it comes from the city Detroit clerk's office. So we'll check down there to find out where our children here in the city can register to vote. Okay,
is
we'll
it
do that.
illegal to not vote, or are there risks to it?
No, well, it's not illegal. It's this is the right of freedom of a democracy, a republic of the United States, that was given privilege to the black race of people under certain amendments to vote. Women were disbarred from voting. Uh, that was all women, okay, including white women. at one time in this process of the history or progress of the history of this nation. But because of the progress of the history of this nation through uh, 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 legal litigations by a lot of our uh, attorneys who look like us and white attorneys who don't look like us, the right to vote came about. We live in a society that is, it consists of all races of people. We cannot live hating anyone in this American society. If government becomes not free, then once again, the privileges will be limited to certain races of people. Okay, I just want to explain that to you. It's important that you exercise your freedom, free right to vote. It's very, very important. I wish that I could get that message to each and every child that's in school right now. We had civics, we had social studies, we had history, we had government. All of those were required subjects when I was in school, and I say it wasn't that long ago. So this is what's happened in the educational system here. Yes, it's intended by political persuasion to eliminate these studies out of the K-1 through 12 school systems, even about the histories, the real histories of the United States. Once again, reflect on your governor down in Florida. Uh, I think that if the public school systems eliminate these processes, there ought to be other school systems set up, funded for people that they can go and learn government or learn civics, learn what happened to certain races of people, Asians, Black people, the enslaved people. A lot of folks do not know that Black folks were here in this nation before the European man showed up. There were people here in this nation who were called and referred to as being native people of this land, hundreds of different tribes of them. Uh, this was their land. So if we do not, or if we exclude the truth about the American histories of this nation from our students, then they don't know who they are. Our children don't know what nation we come out of. I don't know. I could have Mr. Gates, I believe it is studying the DNA process to find out where I'm coming from, what country. We've been, we've been not privileged to know who we are, and that's something that we have to live with. And if we do not help our children, then we
Elder, are you still there? Okay, it looks like we might have to hold on.
I wish.
Oh, are you
Go ahead.
back?
I'm still here.
All right, there you
I'm
cut
just
out for a
saying.
moment.
I don't know if I answered the question or not. Please tell me if I didn't, so I could pick it back up.
I feel like you have that there, pardon me,
Yes,
and
you
I
have
agree
answered the
with you,
question.
especially on the part of us not knowing who we are and needing that our story in order for us to be able to participate or navigate.
That is correct. I must say this: many of the inventions that you may not be aware of, are created or designed, by people who are not given the credit immediately in the educational system. There's a lot of inventions, and we just didn't sit back and be enslaved and be deprived our people to not learn English. I've always said they had their own language, but they were deprived of to even speak to one another, communicate with one another. And so when it comes to the question of the slaves not being educated, I can't go. I never went along with that. They were educated in their own land. For anybody to come and get them out of there, you don't go and get illiterate people out of their land and bring them to your what you decided was going to be your occupied land, and have them work and not know who they are, and deprive them from even communicating with each other, and not even learning a language that was not theirs, which is English. That's why we speak English. So education has been deprived of our children and other people's children. The truth has to be told, and they don't want it to be taught to their children. It's going to hurt them, but they know who they are. I better leave this alone because this is a public thing, and you know, I've had experiences with their children, and not respecting me coming out of the military in certain cities, quick to use words that we ban using, and they cause our children to freely use those words. So it's despicable, that we have become a degenerate this society, and our grown-ups keep masquerading this big lie or whatever it is. I say take some of them words out of the vocabulary compoundment books, and that way you won't teach your children those hateful things. That's what I say. I'm gonna just say it lightly.
I agree because they always add new words to the dictionary every so many years anyway.
Yeah, but take them old words out of there. Those that uh, describes certain races of people in a negative way, and that's not something that is of a God order. Let me just use that word God. That's not of an honest order. That's of a evil order. Let me just say it that I categorize it that way, and they are quick to teach their children that. So when you got one of these youngsters that talk that, and grown-ups that talk that, that's what they were taught. That it was in their books. It still is in their books. They don't know any better, we might say, but they do know better, in that they're adults.
I can agree. I agree to a degree, yes. In my research, our we were the original people that were in the political offices prior to, and then it was flipped on us.
That's right. That is correct.
Okay, I didn't know. I just want to see if we agree on that point.
Yeah, I do. I'm aware of that. But if they do not teach these things in clarity in the public school system, which we said that by design this is eliminated, then there's no way for anyone of any race to understand what the truth is. So that's what the problem is. When you are consumed with lies, then you continue telling that lie, and you cause the people to start believing that lie, and they become what that lie is. You
I,
know, look at what is being exemplified by these young people here today. Uh, I mean, despicable things. We look at I mean, my goodness, you turn the TV on and you got our children sitting there kissing each other of the same uh, gender or whatever. I just said, wait a minute. I can understand in a certain sense, but it's being bombarded at us for us to accept that sort of thing. We at one time, you would not accept that, you know, and that's just the way that is. If our children are bombarded with that, then that's what they become. Likewise, they don't have the dignity that our folks taught us. Our parents taught us that, you know, and
all an agenda. All an agenda to break up, at least in my research, and this is only my personal opinion, the uh, same, the liking of each of the same type of individuals is was started way back in the 70s to break down the units that we already had in our homes.
that's right.
remove that male energy, um, give the mindset to the woman that she can do everything on her own without it, just a total breakdown. And then now you have the young young boys being raised by women that don't really have the skills that they need, so they're giving them feminine energy, and now
Right.
they would emanate that energy, and
Mhm.
now they grow up, and it, the domino effect. So now the school system is saying you have to, and which is one reason why I no, I'm not going to. You cannot force me to do that to my child.
That's right.
And they've gone so far as to doing medical things in the school system and keeping the parents from even knowing
Oh.
about what they're doing with the children.
Mhm. I want to just inquire, is this your student, is she being benefited by any of this? She has some questions. I'd like to hear from her.
Actually, I'm really sitting back and learning. It's been very enlightening learning about the
Mhm.
politics and different things I should be keeping an eye out for, paying
Certainly,
attention to, so
certainly.
I can make a
Yep.
decision.
Yes, please. And let me say this to you also. Whatever decision you make, be sure it is your decision and not someone else persuading you to agree with them. Please keep yourself free and safe. I'm saying that, for example, my dad had always told our family, he said, especially to the males, he says, if the police department gets you, you're doing something out there that they're gonna get you for. He says, I'm not coming out of the jail to get you out. He let it be known up front. He says, you got in there. I told you not to get into that. You know. So, but what he said was that whatever you decide to do, be sure that it's your decision and it's not someone else's decision that got you entrapped into that. And I've always believed his word. He has never lied to me. It's good. It's good word that our children learn how to make their own minds up, their own decisions. And that's you know what we must teach our children. We can't go along with the crowd because they're going out to a certain location tonight. We can't do it. Something in my children's mind must say, "You go ahead. I'm going home." That's just as simple as that. And that decision that a child made to go home saved its life. And that's the danger that we live in today's world.
Okay, so we have one more question that came in from the community. Would you say that the Dennis Archer administration upheld the policies of Coleman Young?
Oh my goodness, I don't know who's asking that question, but
Wow.
I will answer this. I would just say explicitly, no, no. I don't have to go any further. That's my opinion. If someone else wants to extract something more from me, let them specifically ask me something in that category as to why. Because it's a no.
I agree. I don't think Dennis Archer was in there long enough to say or
He,
be
well,
of
he
it.
did enough while he was in there. And I believe
Exactly.
that,
Yeah.
and see, this is, we reflect to the student, this is the power of political position. That's a lot of power that when we vote for people, we give them. And if they get in there and they don't do what you voted them in for, if it causes you a lot of what harm. It can cause you a lot of disagreement in saying, I'm not voting anymore. This is why we have uh, to screen these people. Right now, we have to get together collectively with all the groups. If we have them in the city, and I know that there are some, I'd like to get a hold of them. I've got talk with one or two people to ask them, let us stop going at this thing individually. Let us come together. I think one uh, person was saying we need to get 500 people to go downtown. She said 500 men. I'll be one of them. I'll go downtown. It make me no difference. I'm going down because you fighting a righteous cause. These people are not doing what benefits the people here in the city. Uh, and this is the thing. I say no to that question, and that's where I'm going with it. You know, you know, he could have done some other. He could have done some things to benefit his people, and do whatever he wanted to do for other folks. See, that's the problem. These folks get into office and they do nothing for their people. They do all for the other folks. That's the problem. Absolutely zero. But when you look at the bottom line, they all come out multimillionaires. I don't know if I'm going or not.
Okay, so that question was asked because we would like the public to understand which administration was responsible for the policies that brought forth gentrification in Detroit.
I don't know if that was the correct answer for them, but I think it had a lot to do with it. There
I
had to
think it
be
did.
a, yes, it did. Yes, it did. When you can I elaborate a little bit? Listen, I'm not really into for trying to put casinos into anybody's area. We all might, because of our history, you might patronize a lottery or whatever, trying to get a hope to pay our bills or whatever. I don't have an excuse. But what I'm saying is that one thing he did when he come out and said he would not make one black man or another black man a millionaire. I mean, that should have told everybody something. When you got him in there, what he was going to do, you know, uh, that he said that, and I can say that. Okay, it's a public record of what he said. He was not going to make another black man a millionaire or so. He said that. So when the casinos came in, for example, not one black person got one of those casinos. They had little people who had some kind of interest in them, but I don't think there's anybody have any interest in those casinos that's black right now. I'm not saying I'm advocating for casinos, but for Mr. Dennis Archer and anybody else who gave the city away, talking about they going to give a consentment agreement to other people while they sit back and let those folks bankrupt the city. And no, 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 no. You should have called the police department in to say these people are in downtown trying to take the city over. That's and that's just the way I feel about it. And if you couldn't get your local police department to get them out of there, you should have called the state police or you got the state governor to say, hey, you can't do that to the city of Detroit down there. But when you find a political system that is in agreement with themselves because of who they look like, this is why you have to get out here and vote. You could vote for somebody that don't look like you, but what you want is someone who is going to do you right, do the righteous thing by you, and not lie to you, and not get in the office and do not what is written in law that government's supposed to do. The government of the United States is supposed to take care of the welfare of the people. So you got folks sitting out here on welfare, the children, the women. Oh, and nobody is contesting that. I make my statement, but we need to get together collectively and say, look, you have to give these people welfare. That's what government's supposed to do. State of Michigan, city of Detroit, you give the welfare to the billionaires on our properties. Y'all see it happening, don't you? Don't you see it happening?
I see it happening every day.
Every day. You don't have nothing. Then you got somebody assessing your property for big money.
Hmm.
And you wonder where they got the right to assess your properties. And your properties are under the penalty of being over assessed. And they do it anyhow. They got you that way, and now they got you the other way because they don't have to say anything to you. If you have connections downtown, you can get anything done. I say that there's a great deal of corruption being done and have been done downtown. The people who pay the taxes here in this city have been negated. And then we need to get together because of one thing and get down there and let these people know. Getting down there might send a message, but will they change? I don't know, but we need to get down there.
So the first step is just to get down there and make our presence known.
Get us together on one thing. All these groups, everybody, I can hear them on different radio, bro. Let us all come together and go downtown. We can't fight this thing individually. We have to come. I have to agree with somebody else's organization to get down there. Let us just get down there and let them know you know, let them know we're together on this. Everybody wants to be the big chief, and you see that. I think I can talk about the ministries, the ministers. The ministers don't speak for the political causes of the people. They do not even address the welfare of the children and the women, the folks out here on the street, the veterans I know that are out on the street. They sitting back up on the different lots with shopping baskets full of whatever they got left out on the street. I mean, see, there's a problem here. And if we do not come together and realize it, our children are victimized because of this foolishness. And in order for us to get our children out of that, we have to be the ones to go down. We adults have to go down there. It's about our children. When nobody cares about our children. And that's what's happening. That's what's going on. I wish there was another question. I don't know if I got off base or not, but I would like for your student. I just want to hear from that if she's being uh, answered in her questions. And I think the question was, I think it was asked, what is it illegal to choose not to vote? Is that right?
Yes, yes. I
It
did
is
get the
not.
answer to that one.
It is not illegal, but it is your free choice. I think I've answered that pro and con already, too, by the way. It is, you can say, oh, I just like them folks. I'm not going, you can say that. You can take that attitude. I would be the one, a parent, that persuades you, regardless of what's going on. You selectively keep your right to vote. Vote. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay? Please vote. But you scrutinize who you're voting for. And something is not right down with these politicians locally, county, state of Michigan, United States government. Get your writing pen out and write a letter to them. Okay, they don't even want the children to even write in curses now, or learn how to write with curses. I mean, think about that. They want to gravitate our children to what? Pushing a button on a cell phone, a computer, to get an answer or question, plug it in on the internet. What is this and what is that? No, you have to have this in your cranium. Everything in that computer came out of a cranium of a human being. And if we neg- neglect to teach our children, they must get something in their study body, into their cranium, in their head by studies. Forget about that computerization. They're trying to negate our children not to think. And that's exactly what is going on. When you let some mechanical thing or electronic thing do your thinking, they got the AI coming out, the artificial intelligence has always been around as far as I know. And and that we have to do this. We have to keep our children in the classroom, in a classroom with other bodies of children, learning from a teacher who represents the honesty of teaching. And that's where I'm going. I've always been that way, and I've taught my children that. They're grown, they're up in their age now. I kind of grew up with my children, uh, and I just thank God for them, and I thank God for every child. I want to let you know that every day I do thank the good Lord for every child. Children are blessings. I'm just saying that. I've always knew that. I wanted children because I believe what I read in scripture somewhere. Children are blessings. Give me that child. I called mine by name. The good Lord gave them to me. That's the way I believe when I got them. So certainly I got married to get them, and that's just the only way to do it.
Yes.
I'm gonna leave that alone. People ain't getting married now. But I was taught by my mother and my dad, you better get married. You're not coming in here like that. Baby mama, baby daddy. I don't, and I'm gonna say this. I do read in scriptures, and baby mama, baby daddy is not new. It's in the scriptures. If we teach our children to read, if we believe in any scriptures that are written, holy scriptures, it's in there. You know, y'all know about Sarah. So let me leave that alone. I read it for my own self. No preacher got to come tell me anything about it. I read, and I need to get my books out. If I can influence the your students, their misread, let them get books and read them. I read things, but usually what I gravitated toward was what I was interested in. Uh, we had Shakespearean history and in the K 1 through 12. I don't even know if they even expose the children to that type of reading. And with hindsight, reflecting on that, I wish I had gotten more involved in the reading of, Shakespeare and history, because I found out that even the Holy Scriptures are they are written in that fashion of the Holy Scriptures, phrase by phrase, act by act. I said, my goodness, when I realized what I missed out on and really studying the Shakespearean history, I was reading the Bible only to say, my goodness, what did I miss out on? Why didn't I study that Shakespearean history while the teacher was giving me all those assignments? So I don't know if there's another question, or can we get something from the student? Is there something? I don't want to leave, talking about what I have experienced, but what I have experienced, I've learned. So if it would be of advantage to someone else, the truth is the truth, and that's all I can say. Everything you live is an exposure to what is reality. The hatred and and someone giving you good expression or bad expression. It's you will experience those things in life. So all I can tell you is to fortify yourself in your mind to be strong and look out and just be grateful. That's all I can tell you. But these things are going to come. Oppressions, all of these things, deprivations. We live with them. I live with them, and but I just be glad to get up and see the sun come up, and that's the way that is in life. But I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep voting, and whoever I'm dissatisfied with, I may have voted for the wrong person, but they fooled me. But they ain't gonna fool me again. That's all I can tell you. We'll have words with them, but that's all I can do. They in office now. What can I do? Most people don't want to recall anybody. And see, this is what we're all in that same bowl. See, you got to get everybody collectively to recall any of these people downtown. You don't see anything happening with recalls. And if you do, you have someone up in higher ups who approves the recall language to say, no, it's not right or it's right. This is what we're up against. So when you vote, you make a clear mind as to the choices that you make, but get to know who you voting for. And there it is. So we're going to try to get folks. I heard one organization saying they're going to try to vet different people and bring them, to us publicly. But as I say, I can't just let them do it. But I'm waiting on them. I'd like to help them do it. So they're doing one thing. I don't want to start duplicating or going against something that they're doing. Let me help them with it. You understand what I'm saying?
Definitely. I definitely do.
Certainly, certainly. So I'm trying to think. Okay, the choice. It's your choice. You have free choice. But one day we might wake up and guess what? You don't have to vote because someone took that, right away. And that's what's happening or in the air right now. And with these politicians, they don't want their children to be taught the truth of in education. It don't. No, I agree with some things, but not negating the truth to be hidden from anybody. It is illegal. Is that the last question? It was, are there any risk?
Yes, that was the last question.
Okay, the risk is covered, I think, by everything I have said. If you do not, the risk is that you might get someone in government that might come to power to say all of your rights are null and void. All of the amendment, we already had an example of that with this last president, echoing talking about nullification of the of the you know the articles of rights or whatever, the government. Come on, help me with that. I'm losing my thought. Uh, the Bill of Rights, or that are written in this nation. And they're trying to nullify all of those rights. Let's go back to the old way of the South, is what they really have said. The old way. The old way was evil, and you know that. The South, in my opinion, I've been down there. It's a beautiful country, but I wasn't down there during that time. All the suffering. Most of our folks that came north, they fled the Jim Crow. And let me say this: it was not that long ago, in my opinion, 1950s, and all this other stuff. It was, when they got free, the Emancipation, the Proclamation, they come up out of that South because they were getting away from the hatred and the hanging and the killing of our people down there. And there have been many presidents are known to even own slaves, and there were some who came over who uh, were enslaved on a contract, and they were not black people; they were white folks. I don't know if y'all read that one in history or not. They need to give the history, the educational history of this nation, a complete, thorough exposure, because it would expose all the pros and cons. But mainly, our folks need to know who they are. Our children need to know where they come from. And if we can't tell them as parents, that is a sad commentary. And that's it. The risks are there. Being taken over by a dictator. There were those in Europe, for example. You have to learn a lot of other folks' histories. The different emperors of Asia, they had slaves. They were put to death in certain areas. They were made to build different monuments and buildings and roads, and then they were put to death. They were dictators at the hand of an order of one man. By the way, think about it. And that's what we could be looking at and risking here in the United States if we don't get our acts together. Every day you wake up, somebody's dead here, especially in this city and in the United States. So I've been in the military, and I'm just saying I might have been safer in Vietnam, which I'm not implying that I was there, in Europe, which I was. I'm just going to leave that alone. Uh, Being exposed to Russian MiG jet in Europe. This is what I'm saying. A lot of people don't know what we have to suffer, but we suffer it all in the name of our government. I'm black. Why do you deprive black men the right to even have a home in the history, the right to come home and live like any other man who believe that he's entitled? We've got many men that died that look like us and don't look like us for this nation, only to be classified second class citizens. What is at risk? All of this that they have died for, trying to make us live a better life. Let me say this also. Many of the men in my family were in the militaries, Army, Marines, uh, and I'm saying we're willing to fight for the cause of this nation, the Constitution. And if I can't fight for that freedom that I believe is guaranteed to all men in this nation, I don't care what color they are. I went to the military, drafted, old Army. If I can't experience that freedom now, then something's wrong. If my child or you, my child, everybody is my child. All children are mine. Mrs. Reed. I'm just saying that. And I've always looked at it that way. And I thank the good Lord for children each and every day, each and every soul. This is what my prayer is. Lord, stretch out your hand. Can I say this in this?
Go right ahead. You have free reign.
I said, Lord, my prayer, I'm going to share this with you. Bless each and every soul that liveth on this earth today, and all those you have given in all times, Lord. I realize that we have made mistakes also, and we all have come short of what we're supposed to be living before you. But Lord, especially those little children, children are closer to God than any one of us. And the reason is this: they've just been born. I'm older than they are, but when they were born at birth, they were just as innocent. And they are. But when they, and children have to be taught while they are sponges the right things. And that's I believe that's the word of God. Matter of fact, I know it to be the word of God. You raise them up in the way of righteousness, and that way it should retain it. Now, if you raise that child up in the way of hatred, when he becomes an adult, it will retain it. That's the word of God. You can't change that. And that's why you see a lot of the hatred in the world. Somebody didn't raise the children right or in that air. Let me say it that way. So I don't know if there's any more the student want to ask. Y'all didn't want to go to church. I don't want to go right now either.
I appreciate you bringing forth your wisdom to the youth. My Joy, are you still with us?
Yes, I am here.
Did you have any more questions?
I
No,
wish you would. I wish you would think of something before we leave. And because I don't, we get off the phone, she'll say, "Oh, I wish I'd asked that question." I'll answer as best I can, but what I'm answering you is a lot of what I realized in life and experienced in life. But you have to cause yourself to stay out of depressions. Okay, I'm talking about these spiritual depressions. I call them spiritual depressions, but depressions come into our minds and our, just like laughter. Uh, we experience laughter, joy. We experience hurt. We experience pain. All of these things are designed into the human body. That's what I come to know that. But do you know that you can control those things? How do you control them? You do not have to allow certain things you don't have to entertain certain things for a long time. You can use the word, I don't know if it's a word, shrug it off. You can just say, "Oh, I'm going to ignore it." Let me use the word ignore. I'll ignore that for a while. I'll keep ignoring it, so it don't let depression come into your mind or cause you to feel like I've got to injure somebody or get even with someone. You understand what I'm saying? You have control, full control of that. I think the last word I want to use is this is what has to happen. We have to come to a point of, here it is, maturity in order for us to be able to handle these life things. But the bottom line is when it comes to our obligation to vote, many people have died for us to have that right. And if they did not die and fight that cause, this is black, white, Asians, or whoever, in the civil rights struggle, we would not be able to have any say so with what goes on in any political arena. Right now, you have the right to say something by voting. Please vote and persuade all those other students that you know that are your friends. Let us get up out of here and vote. And you guys see Mrs. Reed, you can always contact her, I believe, and let her know what your situations are. It was a delight for me to have met her in the arena that I met her. Mrs. Reed, I must tell you this, that many people that I meet is just like meeting like we met. Okay. And I say when God directs you in a certain to meet someone, I will acknowledge that. I'll do it every time because I believe that I believe there's a greater power that leads me acknowledge your request. And I just hope I have sufficed what you have requested of me.
Elder, you have gone above and beyond, and I am so grateful that you were able to join me today and be able to answer the questions from the youth and from the community. Your words, I think we should leave on those last words because they are so powerful that everyone should be involved. And we as parents need to make sure that our children have the tools that they need to be involved. I do want to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon, this day, whenever you do get to catch this replay. I do thank you all. This episode was sponsored by Get This Wisdom magazine. The elder, if you would like to reach him, you would have to reach out to me, myself, on Reed's Learning Street, and we can get you in touch with him if you have any more questions. And I do hope that the youth do come in with more questions. Hopefully we'll be able to get him back on again to get more questions answered and just have more general conversation to get more of our community involved. Thank you again this afternoon for joining us. Have a great day. Thank you for watching our videos. Support who supports you and check out some of our supporters. Definitely like, share, subscribe, and have a great day.